do 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 do. Hello. It's a day early, and I'm $1 short, and it's Christmas break now, so I get to do a bunch of activity online, and my brain just stopped working all of a sudden, as though I'm on break. And at the same time, I'm like trying to avoid a bunch of housework, so I thought that you guys would keep me company, or I could keep you company. How's that? If anybody wants to show up, you know what? It might be like Blonde and Matt's night. I'm trying to figure out the best night to do this, because if Blonde and Matt are doing this on Tuesday night, it's highly likely that nobody will show up to this. I don't know if I'm live, because it says I'm live, but maybe I'm not. I don't know. So, I am, what am I doing? Okay, so I'm working on a story that I'm kind of nervous about doing because there's some problems with this story. Whoever talks about the person that I kind of want to talk about, they end up getting deplatformed. And, okay, so I'm getting some feedback that there are people watching. Thank you. Hi, Rhonda Ford. Hey, Omar. Your love, Saxy81. Oh, okay. Fine. Frick it. I am live. I'm just really bored, and I just need to kill some time before I go and clean up the house, because this is a disaster. Our house is a disaster during this period of the year, let's say, because it's the entire month of December is just a total freaking disaster. I'm gonna turn off. Oh wait, hold on. I tried to do. Okay. I'm working with somebody. Of course, she sends me something to do after I'm already employed in something else. Oh, you guys can't see or hear me? Oh, you're just trying to get me in trouble, aren't you? Stan Ulch. I know. What are the waters we're wading into? This probably won't be as deep as my Wednesday live streams. I'm working on a story. I want to check in with you guys what you think. If you've been watching the interviews that I've been doing, if you guys have any questions about that or things that you want me to expand on, or things that directions I should take. One person, I'm really proud of the reception of the interview with Robin. I knew it was going to be troublesome. I knew it was going to be difficult for people to get into. And it's more of a historical document. It's actually more of a literary document. I spoke with Robin for about 2.5 hours. It was a very long conversation. And what I published was the last part. So this was the interview that I did. I posted it 2 days ago, or probably yesterday. I posted it yesterday. It's about a trans woman. She's in her early 50s. She's at middle age. And she was part of the OTO, which is the Ordi Templi Orientis, which is a Crowley derived religious sect or cult or religion or church. I don't know what we would call it, because it's Crowley after all, or Crowley. I don't know. And anyway, so we talked a lot about Crowley, and I want to go back and speak to her more about that and get some really good information on the OTO, because I think that's fascinating. I think next year I kind of want to do stuff investigate different religions. Anyway, so Robin was the trans person, and she had a very intense experience, a very intense life experience, and she's at a point in her life where she's really thought things through. So I wanted to present that to the audience, and it was like a Henry Miller novel to me. It was just this burning, so experiential and so just, I guess explicit is a term, but that's kind of a cheap term. It was just so intense for me, and I was really proud that the people like interacted with that. Of course, like a lot of people were turned off from that. A lot of people like had some judgment, and that's fine. It's fine to have judgment. It's fine not to have judgment. It's fine for her to live her life the way that she's lived her life. I mean, I don't want to do any judgments pro or con for that, but it was wonderful to interact with somebody who had such intense experiences and to be able to present that to the audience. And one person on that, one commenter said, well, how much further are you going to go along with this? Because another person's like, get off this crazy train. And I wanted to speak about like the trans series that I'm doing. I'm interviewing one more person this week about trans issues who's not trans, who just has some strong opinions, who might be getting in trouble for that. And so I don't know the future of that series, but I really have enjoyed presenting trans voices, presenting like trans individuals, presenting the trans experience to you guys. And thank you for letting me do that. And thanks for all the people who participated in that. That's been great. At the same time, I'm now working on a story about somebody who is known to deplatform anybody that speaks about them. If you go on my Twitter, you'll see a tweet that's getting some mild amount of interaction with it. Mild according to, like really big Twitter, but like pretty kind of large for me. And I want to be able to present the facts of this person who is a very abusive individual. This person actually explicitly said that they were the ones who are personally responsible for Meghan Murphy being deplatformed, right? And the way that this person gets people deplatformed is that they construe any criticism against them as transphobia. So I want to be careful in how I say this, but having interacted and interacted in good faith with trans issues, I hope I have something to stand on when I present the story of somebody who is more mentally ill and mentally unstable and actually a danger to society, and actually is somebody who is openly going against our free speech and is hastening the demise of the open internet. This person is using hate speech laws in Canada and hate speech laws on these various platforms to deplatform people. And how do we go after somebody like that who has the power of construing any sort of criticism as like hate speech, right? So I don't know how to do this, but this is kind of a story that I want to work on, and this is something that I kind of wanted to interact with you guys with. There's a lot of activity in the comment field. I think I'm done with what I was saying, though I have more to say. Because, I show up to these things not having anything to say, but then I start talking. And it's just like my brain is like this. Here, somebody used my name. Hey, Maggie Ellis, great to catch a live stream. What do I want to do as always? Do what you want to do. Okay. You're an honest guy and I love your content. Thank you very much, Maggie. Can I tell you one thing, Maggie? Go ahead and get yourself an avatar. I know it's a little bit of work and maybe you want to hide behind the anonymous avatar, but like I always give like 2 extra points to anybody like in my mind when I'm interacting with somebody on the internet who has an actual avatar. I just want to make that clear to you, even though you commented positively on me. People like use the anonymous avatar to actually attack me personally and probably a lot of other people. And I just think if you have just a picture, it shows that you're a little bit more invested into the conversation. And there's something to pin you as a personality on. And I don't mean that to be at all criticism. It's more of a suggestion. So what am I working on? So anyways, so yeah. Oh yeah, content. Yeah. Okay. So good. You showed up. So I do, I think I already mentioned this, but I think it's important. I think it's important to show human experience. I think that I'm into this. I'm into these interviews, especially because I'm able to interact with people on a novelistic level. I'm able to really get into personal, human, first-person experience. And that's what I want to do. And the trans theme is kind of easy because it's, for whatever reason, it's taking up like a very large percentage of our attention right now, and I want to navigate that and try to steer the discussion away from what I think is happening, where people are subconsciously thinking through the exposure of trans rights activists that they're subconsciously now tying trans people to trans rights activism, and trans rights activism is being incredibly censorious and is wanting to dick around with our language, wants to dick around with our just the way that we look at the world. It wants to dick around with science. And so I want to decouple trans people as individuals with experience that are valid in their own right from this, I think, invalid or at least very dangerous methodology of forcing people to think a way that's not natural and is probably not scientific and is probably actually disturbing or disruptive for most people, and will have a backlash against actual trans people who are all over the map politically, who are all over the map insofar as experience is concerned. So, content warning. I think Robin was super brave to show up there, and if you guys go through the interview, I think it's called Trans Realism. Like, she really interacts with the comments and gives another layer of what she was presenting and why she was presenting the way that she was presenting. And I think that it's hard to disrespect her. You can agree with her, you can judge her, you can call her immoral, and that's part of the OTO thing, the Crowley thing or Crowley thing, is that morality is actually rebelled against very explicitly, and that was part of her experience. So I think that actually, insofar as Robin was a crazy train, she was probably one of the most sanest trains that has gone down the crazy track that you can find. Anyways, so I really appreciate her, and thanks, Content Warning, for letting me reference your comment and speak about that. We could also talk about, I don't really want to talk, the other thing is like, okay, do I want to spend time with religion? I'm not into theology. I'm into mysticism. Definitely. Absolutely. Because mysticism is applied spirituality. Theology, I have problems with it. I interact with Rachel Fulton Brown, and I really jive with her. I interacted with Jonathan Peugeot. I really respected that and the depth of his thought. And then today I posted something with me speaking with Esther O'Reilly, and she's young in her faith and she's developing her toolkit, and I feel like we kind of talk past each other because I was coming from a position of like, well, what's next? Let's accept all these things that you say. What's next? What's this good for me? And she's still figuring out how to speak with people who are outside the faith or discoursing, doing apologetics with atheists or somebody who is not religious or not spiritual at all. I am incredibly spiritual. Like, it permeates my life, so much so that I don't even know how to talk about it, and I don't even think there's any real benefit from talking about it until you have people that are, individually interested in that conversation. But apologetics is a thing, theology is a thing. It goes back to that Wilco song. Oh, I can't sing it right now. I was singing all day. Theologians, they don't know nothing about my soul. Oh, they don't know. I'm an ocean. Okay, here's a block of text. I'm all emotion. Okay, you guys, sorry, this is the wrong one. You guys are having a conversation without me. John Duncan. Anyways, I just want to say that theology I have a problem with. I have a problem with atheism. I have a problem with proving or disproving religion. I have a problem with proving or disproving God, because either you've experienced that or you haven't. And if you haven't, I mean, you can decide whether or not you want to, and you can erect all these ideas about that. But that experience, that which is above the mind and the heart and the belief system, will draw you up to it. And I don't think there's anything you can do other than like look at other people who have had that experience and gauge their life, see if that experience has actually permeated their life and made them a good person or not. And if they have become a better person, then you can kind of see how they made contact with that thing. And then maybe you can kind of like put yourself in a position to be receptive to that. But theology and religion, maybe this is just something I'll have to explore over the course of the next year or so to figure out if I'm totally off base to think that atheists and theists, that anybody who talks about God who hasn't experienced that which is above the human realm has any right to actually like speak about that, other than to use that as a proposition in order to organize your life better in the here and now. Anyways, I'm going to get in trouble talking about theology. That's a very specific subset. Anyway, so John Duncan writes, Skodo, yup. People, when given interview questions, think the number is much, much higher than it actually is. I don't know what you guys are talking about. And it is my opinion due to the media presentation. If you guys want to ask me a question or just put my name in chat so I know to put you on the screen, be careful. I will try to read it before I put you on the screen. Johnny, asshole human. At Benjamin A. Boyce, watch The Holy Mountain. Oh, The Holy Mountain by Alejandro Jodorowsky. It will answer all your questions. Really? All of them. It will answer all my questions. That's quite a claim, dude. I don't know. Holy Mountain. Is that the one that Werner Herzog did a movie about? No, that's Agyar or something like that. Or is that the really crazy messed up, like surreal one? The Holy Mountain? I don't know what that is. Drop a link in the chat. Maybe I'll look at it. Jeez, I see. That's the thing. You know what? It's really difficult to go into that stuff when I'm just talking to a chat field. It would probably be better for me to enter into an interview-like situation with somebody who who presents a stable sort of attention for me to unravel my experience, because I have to reduce my experience into a narrative, and so my narrative needs to be attuned to those who are listening to me. And because you guys in aggregate are just a scrolling field of text who might have like very negative or very positive reactions to any given thing I say, it's not stable enough for me to like present something that's been extremely personal for me. Like, I want to share that, but I want to share it in such a way that you don't think, it doesn't come off that I'm trying to promulgate a belief system, or I'm trying to make myself out to be anything other than what I am, which is just a human being who has certain sorts of experiences, right? So it's kind of a difficult thing to enter into. In this, oh, you guys can't link in chat, and within this medium. So maybe I'm being a tease. Maybe I'm being a thought. Only I have this black shirt on, so maybe... Wait. Okay, there we go. I'm being a thought now. Here we go. Okay, so... Okay. So, this is what happens, and I knew this. I spoke with Esther, and this is what I knew would happen. That as soon as I embark upon speaking with Christians and entering into the apologetics and saying whether or not or to what extent I agree or disagree with their faith, I would be introduced to an entire network of very studied, very wise individuals with which to speak. So this is going to be a very long kind of trajectory that you're seeing me kind of start now, even though I spoke with Peugeot and I spoke with Rachel Fulton Brown. But as soon as I spoke with Esther and we spoke about whether or not, right, rather than me just investigating the faith of Jonathan and with Rachel Fulton Brown and just say, okay, well, what does this mean? What does that mean? Entering into the apologetics, I had a feeling that this is going to be a long conversation. This is going to be something that I'm going to need to invest a lot of time into. And of course, it's going to gain me and lose me people who want to pay attention to that stuff. So that'll be interesting and stuff. That will be interesting. No, bad thought. Oh, wait, hold on. Content warning. Okay, this might be a difficult... I haven't read it. Here we go. Benjamin A. Boyce. Until they flush out and purge the real crazies, militant activists from the inside first to set the stage for an honest discussion. Until they... crap. Sorry, I just this thing. Okay. Until they flush out and purge the real crazies, militant activists from the inside will be first to set the stage for an honest discussion. This is the same for purging any ideological cult. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm presenting a wide range of crazy experience that's very not normal, and yet showing that within that experience are people who are communicative, people who can enter into good faith debate, right? So that's what I'm trying to establish in my own very small corners, trying to establish a community of trans people, or like put forth these trans individuals who can get along with gender critical feminists, who can get along with Christian conservatives or just hyper conservative people, and who do want to enter into a good faith argument for people who go through the trans experience, and to present the negatives of that, and to talk about things that people aren't talking about. So anyways, okay, I do need to say this. Okay, GB says for me to keep the live chat up. I'm having some hard times keeping the live chat up because it is totally raw and it's totally boring and fishy and soupy and like totally vulnerable, and it's not up to par. And you guys see how often I mess up with my freaking language that I love so much. But what I've done now with the live chat is this is what I think. You guys tell me yes or no. I will keep it listed for one day, and then I will unlist it and put it into the live chat archive. So you guys, like the playlist. So there will be a playlist that you guys can get to, but you might have to click a few buttons to get to the playlist. But I'll have a playlist for all that stuff. So I don't know if I should keep it live for more than a week. And maybe I'm just being too harsh on myself. I don't know. But I'd rather be too harsh on myself than come off as too full of myself, right? But I guess the people who use the terms pretentious and pseudo-intellectual and you're full of yourself aren't people who are interested in listening to me anyways. So it's kind of a toss-up. And now that I just said all that, I'm going to have to wait 3 minutes for the live chat to catch up and tell me what to do. Okay, see, this is the whole thing. This is the other thing. So John Duncan writes, no, secular philosophers are like reasonable people, and theologians are like people who make shit up as they go along about unprovable nothings that require belief to assert from. This is the whole other side of like entering into like an investigation of religion that I really don't want to deal with. I don't want to deal with this stuff. And like and I'm not saying you're right, and I'm not saying you're wrong. I don't even want to enter into that stuff because it doesn't make any sense if you haven't had that experience. And where does that experience come from? And in what sort of structures elicit that experience, right? And then what have become of those structures that have elicited that experience that are now used to manipulate people or to stop people from, living their life properly? I mean, it's a very fraught discussion, and maybe like I'm developing skills in order to enter into it in a way that won't incite people calling each other names or saying like, everything that a theologian does is about unprovable nothings that require belief to insert from. Maybe that's true. I think that there's some truth in what you're saying, but at the same time, I'm like, if you're not even open to investigating like other people's experience of this stuff, then you're asserting that stuff doesn't exist. And I can't go there. I can't say that it doesn't exist. But at the same time, I don't think that I have any right to prove that stuff exists to you. If you're not open to that experience, then you're not open to that experience, right? And you have to be honest with yourself. And so insofar as you're being honest with yourself, I applaud you. And insofar as somebody is being dishonest or using that kind of thinking to derail other people's expression of their experience, then I have a problem with. And insofar as people are using theology and religion to assert their authority and power other people, I have a huge problem with that too, right? But there's a room for honest discourse about this incredibly personal interaction between the self, which is the drop in the ocean, and that which is the ocean. Anyways, it's a conversation that all of a sudden I'm involved in, and maybe I'm just gonna have to deal with that and man up or bone up or whatever the gender fuck nut up and just get on with it. Saint Bacon says, the only doable way to get past religion would be to teach logic and rhetoric in school. Then those would become akin to a religion. So, Vulcans. Yeah, you know what? I think I said this somewhere else. Like, I think it was on Twitter. It's like you can say that religion doesn't work or whatever. You can build this really secular society, but religious behavior will emerge. Religiosity and certain positive and negative aspects of religion will emerge, but they will no longer have a housing for that. For whatever reason, maybe it was in the Harris, Jordan Peterson, or Harris's idea that we're always projecting things. Like evolution has designed us in order to project that which is not there, because it's much safer to be hyper aware than it is to be unaware. And for whatever reason, like our entities have evolved to have this capacity to believe or to project agency where there is no agency, to project an anthropomorphic intention where there is just brute force nature. And I think that's true. I think insofar as I think that that's true. I really do think that's true. And I think that religion is a way of dealing with that, a way of channeling that intentionality into a socially cohesive form of interaction. It's a way of strapping our imaginations, which are positioned at the cusp of what is, in order to deal wisely with what is, but still... I just said something that's probably needs to be unpacked. This is another thing. I need somebody here with me, tethering me down, just like religion or philosophy would tether me down. Maybe religion is a way of compensating for our overactive imaginations. I totally could drive with that. And I don't think any sort of formal logic and rhetoric, any sort of over-analytical institution will be able to compensate for that overactive imagination without it itself becoming full of people with this overactive imagination and this overactive judgmental system of morality and enforcing morality. I think that religion, or I think that religions should be mined for really good ways of constellating people in relationship to each other, in relationship to themselves, and in relationship to reality. And I'm talking about art and music. I'm talking about the way that, for instance, the Catholic religion has positioned the entire year as a meaningful experience. Like every day has a meaning to it, right? And what is meaning but like this kind of this icon, this cartoonish representation, or this writing prompt, like this meditation prompt. Let's think about this one aspect of life, this one quality of being, like this one saint, right? This one icon or mask of the self. I think that there's room for that. That being said, I'm still not speaking about the mystical experience, which is something which transcends the heart and the mind and the imagination. And I think that religion and even logic, we should always carve out a space for that which we do not know. And we should approach that which we do not know with reverence. right? How else could I say it? We should approach that which is not yet and that which we do not know with humility and with awareness, and with an awareness that that is studied and handled in a wise way. I don't know. Maybe I'm being solipsistic. Maybe you guys can shoot me down. Maybe I should make this live stream unlisted because I'm just like riffing on like half like spoken ideas and probably not going far enough. Thank you. You know what? One, tune in, drop out. Thank you very much. This is really helpful. Thanks for the super chat. Let's go through and read your comment. It is possible for beings who've evolved into a four-dimensional reality, qualified. Is it possible for beings who evolved into a four-dimensional reality qualified to speak of ultimate truths when our consciousness is capable of contemplating dimensional models outside the boundaries of our own existence? That is intense. That's intense. Is it possible for beings who've evolved into a four-dimensional reality, is it possible for them to be qualified to speak of ultimate truths when our consciousness is capable of contemplating dimensional models outside the boundaries of our own existence? Is it possible? Well, I mean, okay. That's really, am I seeing all the words that are there? Because I'm not grokking it. And I want to launch off of that, but I just want to make sure that that's written correctly. Is it possible for beings? And it's making me think of something that, what is the imagination? So I spent a lot of time in literature. Sorry, am I framed? I've spent a lot of time in literature writing fiction. And of course you guys have interacted with my wordplay. I mean, like there's like, just like the mode of English, which is awesome. And then there's modes of thinking within English, which I practice all the time. But fiction itself as a mode of depicting experience. And this is why, like, I'm going to save all of my fiction until I'm dead or until like something opens up for me to feel okay with putting that out there. But what fiction became for me was a way of studying a couple of central things to experience for me as a human being. What is belief and what is the imagination? And I think that the belief is a way of restraining the imagination. So belief is concretized or coagulated attention. I'm messing it up. So when we go in and we read a story or we watch a movie, Coleridge said that there's a willing suspension of disbelief, right? Where we say, okay, we know that this isn't real, but I'm not going to question it. We're just going to go along for the ride. And I think that that's the first step. Because once we admit to ourselves that this isn't real, but I'm going to believe in it anyways, what we do is we start to pay our attention into what's going on in front of us. We start to pay our attention into the story, into what is happening in the story. And what happens in us, not in the story, but in us, is that our belief starts to attach itself to the forms that are presented to us. And if the storyteller or the movie maker is doing their job right, we will just effortlessly pass away into the narrative, and that narrative will become a part of us, and that narrative will become something that we experience ourselves, even though it's not actual experience. What happens is that we reconstitute that experience in ourselves. And with the case of the religions, with the case of, let's say, Christianity, we have this narrative, right, that can make sense. And if you willfully suspend your disbelief in it, which I think that's what apologetics are, is a very studied way of getting us to willfully suspend our disbelief in order to believe into it. But once we believe in it, that's the next level I want to get to, is that, okay, what does this produce inside of me? When I reconstruct this narrative inside of me, right, that becomes like a operating system or a set of lenses that I use in order to interact with the world. And I start to filter my own experience through the filters of the Bible, or that belief system starts to be replicated within my experience. And I willfully replicate that experience. It's no longer a willful suspension of disbelief. It's a willful investment of belief into that book, into that doctrine, and then into my life through that doctrine. And what is the outcome of that, right? And how can, to get back to the question, and I'm going to drop this from the screen, how can four-dimensional beings who live in an up, down, left, right, forward, backward world with time and objects and space, how can creatures who have been designed to exploit this experience suppose that they have the ability not only to experience that which is outside of this experience, but to communicate that experience? How can we, who are time-bound and space-bound, pretend to comport with eternity, pretend to comport with the infinite, and furthermore, pretend to communicate that? Right? So there's two order problem here. One, how can I experience that which is larger than me? That which transcends every given mortal instance, that is completely, that I could trace back to a event that I can't explain, but I can say that everything that I am is determined by an infinitely complex series of events that are all can be reduced into physical events, right? And so there's that part of me that came up to here. How can I pretend to experience anything other than that, right? Other than to say that my ability to pretend that there's something other than that has been somehow supposed as advantageous for that which I am to be able to advance myself through the world. Basically, that's a very complex way of saying that my capacity to imagine is simply the result of evolutionary processes, that it's highly advantageous for me as a creature to be able to suppose things that don't exist, right? So that's one level, that's one order, that's one question. How do I pretend to be able to experience anything else than that which I am created out of? That's one level, and I don't know how to get out of that box. The second level is, if I can get out of that box, if I can experience that which is infinite, if I can be connected to what I said to Esther, that which undergirds experience, that love, that power, that light, that glory, that sustains that which is, that which you could call God, but I don't want to offend anybody, but let's just say that that is God, that there's a will of God that permeates everything that is manifest, and yet that will of God transcends the manifested, right? Even if I could experience that and be lifted out of myself, to see myself as a being, and to see myself as a flawed being, and then to see paths towards correcting that flaw in my own life, even if I could experience that, how could I possibly reduce that experience into terms that could convey that and recreate that in another human being? Like, that is impossible to me. So those are two impossibilities. One, that I could experience that which is beyond me, and two, that I could reduce that experience of that which is beyond me into the communicative process, into stories and into words and into thoughts and into axioms, right? And into logic and into doctrine, because all of those things, all those communicative tools are below me. Those are things that I can comprehend, right? Those are things that other people can comprehend, right? So those are a lower order thing than I am, right? So if I can get up there, right, or be brought up there, then how could I use that which is below me to recreate in that which is on the same level as me, which is another human being, which is you, that which is above both of us? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Anyways, where the heck did I go with that? That's what I had to say about that. I hope that was a $25 answer. I'm going to take a drink because I think... Like I'm dancing on a razor blade. I know, like, I look like such a fool. And maybe, like, it's helped that, like, I completely admit I am a total fool. I am such a fool. Hopefully that helps. I don't know. We'll throw up Santa Bacon. Hey, Santa Bacon, I need to apologize for you now. I did not ask your permission to do this, but I made a little episode about your comment, and I saw that you got some pushback from people. I'm sorry to expose yourself to the YouTube community by, like, without your permission, like, riffing off of your content. So, thanks for being a good sport. You say, on the note of religion versus atheism, ghosts and the supernatural are why I don't consider myself an atheist. So, you've experienced that which is what you call supernatural. So, and the thing is that there are people who are super duper smart. There are people who are incredibly intelligent. And I'm thinking of Brett Weinstein. I've had several conversations with Brett Weinstein, as you know. We've spoken about, for his channel, we spoke about evolution and a bunch of different things through the evolutionary lens. One thing we haven't spoken about is religion, and he has a way of speaking about religion. And one thing we've spoken a little bit about, and this is off the record, so I can't say it, but he is very, very smart. And he doesn't think that there is anything other than that which is. And so I ask him to explain that which is apart from God. Okay, scratch this. I don't want to talk about somebody who's not in the room. But I just want to speak about, there are people who do not believe in God who can still speak about religion in a intelligent way without needing to believe in that which is. And again, it's just such a stupid conversation. Either you have that experience or you don't have that experience. And I'm not here to convince of anybody of that which they have not experienced. If anything, I think that it would be best to be open to that experience, but not open to people who would manipulate your openness to that experience. So it's really difficult. Like, how do you have humility and how do you have openness to an experience while being very aware that a lot of people have taken advantage of people's openness to that experience? And I think that you need to come to that on your own. I think you absolutely need to respect your own intelligence and your own decisions and your own experience. You absolutely have to trust yourself and be skeptical of yourself at the same time. So don't take my word for it. To go back to reading Rainbow, I don't know if you're talking about me or the chat, but KMF 3000 writes, all this got me thinking of the song lyrics. So let's leave it alone because we can't see eye to eye. There ain't no good guy, there ain't no bad guy. There's only you and me and we just disagree. That's a great little metaphor. I don't really understand it, but it's a great little metaphor. Content warning says, evolutionary, evolutionarily, do you mean? Evolutionary, religion is just part of the blockchain of human ingenuity and creativity, right? And maybe that's all it needs to be. But at the same time, maybe that's not all it is. I don't know. I'm kind of getting tired of talking about religion. I think I said my piece. I think I said that one smart thing for the night, and I can just chill and we can bullshit now. Maybe we can just, like, tone it down a little bit. Jessica says, I don't care if you believe in God. It is critical to take religion seriously, though. It is a very pervasive part of human history. You know what? That's good. I'm going to say that twice because I think that's good. I don't care if you believe in God. It is critical to take religion seriously, though. It is a very pervasive part of human history and the human present and the human future. So, you know what? Maybe there will come about through the workings of various intellectuals that are prominent right now, a way of conceiving religion, a way of conceiving attitudes towards religion that don't need to undermine it, that can take it seriously, and that can mine it for beneficial ways of acting in the here and now and comporting ourselves towards people of different cultures, right? A matter laser, if you will. That's where it's at. You guys are great. You're having a conversation without me. I bring this up every time. Howard Schoonover writes, Chomsky has presented some speculations on the scope and limits of human cognition. He says we are good with deterministic and we are good with random, but there may be things outside that. That is excellent. I would like to have a conversation with somebody who knows what you're talking about. Because that's good, because the deterministic models and the stochastic models, which is a fancy way of saying the random, there might be things outside of that which is determined and that which is random. That's interesting. Like, I don't know at all enough about what you're talking about. I could riff on that. I did like this epic poem about these two brothers, and one was named Accident and one was named Intention, and they were born and they landed on the sea, right? And they were just like these two brothers, and they were on the sea. And they're washing around, and Intention couldn't do anything. But Accident just knew how to get through this wash of phenomena, right? Phenomena as I think of it. And then they landed on solid land, these two brothers, Accident and Intention. They landed on the land, and all of a sudden Intention, like, he found his feet, and Intention could stand, and Intention could act, and Intention could do things because they were on solid land. But Accident was like, he couldn't deal with all this solid stuff. So Intention then helped Accident to get up, and they walked into this forest, and they fell asleep. But before they fell asleep, Accident said that he was like really scared, because even though they were in a very solid place, he felt that like that which was chaotic was even stronger here, and that there was a catastrophe here of a greater magnitude within the solid reality than there was in perfect randomness. And Intention's like, oh, don't worry about it. You're just like a weak-willed, like poetic kind of like rapper guy. Like, I'm the one who can choose to do things, right? I'm the one who's solid. And Accident's like, you're some like cuck of reality or whatever. Anyway, so they go into this forest, and then they lay down, they fall asleep, and Intention has this dream of the world falling apart. And he wakes up, he's like, oh crap. And Accident's like, see, I told you so. And Intention's like, oh, we have to do something about this. We have to do something about this. Let's build a fort. Let's build something even more solid than reality that can withstand the end of reality. And an Accident says, I don't think that's going to work, because like, you're building something out of reality that will not be able to, like, even because everything you make is made out of reality, it's not going to be able to stop that which will corrode your reality. So I need to go on a quest to figure out what it is that's going to corrode reality while you do your thing. So Intention builds this fortress called language of all these different intentionalities in order to control reality. And then Accident goes on this really long adventure to figure out what it is that will be the end of reality. And so Accident comports with all the different levels of reality. I totally feel like I'm going off on like this crazy land. Accident goes on this vision quest, and he deals with like the material reality, which is purely deterministic, and then he deals with the vegetable reality, which is like filled with urge, right, which just grows and grows and grows. And then he deals with like kind of the animal intentionality of version of reality, which just hungers and feeds and reacts. And then he deals with like a human level of reality, which just works and builds and learns different aspects of reality and creates a life out of reality. And then there's like all these different steps of reality. And while he's dealing with all these different things, Intention's fort gets bigger and bigger and more complex. And anyways, Anyways. That's an epic poem that I did. Someday I'll memorize the whole thing and I'll put it down. It gets really freaking weird. It just gets really freaking weird. But it's all created out of language, so it's fully understandable. Can you guys see her now? There she is. I'm trying to get her to look at you in the eye because I think it's only her eyes. This is Bijou. I think it's been an hour. I should go. Heimdall's great. Okay, so this is the thing. Okay, to wrap up, there's all of a sudden people are telling me all these different people that I need to interview and stuff. So Heimdall's Gate says, get an interview with Brian Greene. I'm sure you IDW connections could hook that up. That would be a guy who could have a discussion you're referring to. So again, I don't have my notes here, so okay, wait. I'll take a note. Brian Greene. I will keep this live for a day, and then I will take it down. And actually, okay, you know what? YouTube might take like a day for it to be processed before it's live, so I'll keep it up. But I will keep all of my live streams are in an archived playlist. You can find that on my channel. So this will be in that slot. You guys let me know anything. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for watching. Tell me if there's people that I should contact with. If you guys can get me in contact with these people, I'm on Twitter at Benjamin A. Boyce. That would be great to just keep on just like figuring this shit out with you together. Kittes are ambivalent to human experience. I love you guys. Thanks for showing up. Lola, thanks for using this. I guess apparently this is liquid estrogen now. So apparently I've been on like some sort of transgender regime for the last year, drinking beer with you. You guys are great. I'll talk to you soon. Ciao.